So let's, after having listened to all the presentations, I think it's about time we move to discussions. Mutala, you had a question for Francis. Could you make that question short so he can answer you, if you haven't already answered through the chat?
Yeah, basically what I was asking was that in terms of the fecal sludge itself, we realize that it normally comes with, a lot of waste, not really fecal sludge, especially when you look at areas like in Africa. It's a segregation of waste. So I was asking, in terms of the design, the technology that they are coming out with, how will they be able to, in terms of like separate, or maybe to be able to segregate this materials?
So Francis, that is a source separation question. What are the strategies for source separation in the context like in sub-Saharan Africa?
So I think the hope, of course, is that over the years, if you have something like VIPs, that as you go into the future, you would have not just education programs, but you have a way of incentivizing source separation. So, for example, in Durban, in South Africa, they've talked about ways of charging the homeowners depending on the amount of trash, not fecal material, but trash that they find after they empty out the pits. Because as you know, in Durban, every 5 years, the municipality actually empties the pits, but if it's more often than 5 years, then the homeowners have to bear the cost of the pit emptying. So that's an incentive to minimize the other stuff that goes into the pits. So, but for our technology, our hope is that if there's big material, debris that are in the pits, the excavator actually will not enter the auger, and it will not even be removed. But for small material that can get in, or fibrous material, or newspapers, or pieces of rope, or trash, plastic bags, that we can actually design it so that we can cut it up before it even enters the excavator.
Perfect, yeah. Please go ahead.
I'm wondering, what is the smallest size you anticipate this being reduced to so that it might be used in rural areas?
And that is a question too?
Oh, thank you very much for that question. The first generation system that we operated actually was targeted towards a community of approximately 100 users. And while the energetics of that are somewhat balanced, I think a smaller system will have more energetic challenges than a larger one, simply because the thermal losses are proportional to the surface area, whereas the energetics are proportional to the volume or mass of material processed. So a smaller system has greater losses because of the greater surface area to volume ratio. However, in a rural setting, that can be compensated by the fact that there is a larger availability of biomass in general. So that biomass, which could comprise municipal solid waste, or it could comprise green waste or other materials, that green waste, for example, can actually supplement the energetics, and then that sense, the net moisture level might be in the 60% range, for example. In that context, a smaller system in a rural setting would make a lot of sense because it would provide sanitation while at the same time providing some useful energy output. Those energy outputs could be used for charging LED lights, mobile phones, and other equipment.
Thank you, Brian. Maybe Laura has something to add there.
On the current system, basically we're always working together with waste infrastructures, and so there's various scales of systems, also depending on, for instance, how much you could sell the end product for, and how much it costs to maintain the system in that location. So from a financial standpoint, we also need a certain scale to make it really interesting for the waste entrepreneurs. But currently, it's interesting. At the moment, we're working with Sanergy as a sort of launching partner or our first customer. So we're testing it together with them, and then once that works, we can start scaling it differently and also adjusting it to different waste infrastructures.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. So, any further questions? So, a question to Francis then.
The way they have it
just
right now, at least
curious to know how this charging thing in South Africa, in Durban, works.
Every 5 years.
How acceptable it is at the household level? Do households actually pay these charges that they are given?
Then the homeowners have to pay it. And the way the municipality has done it is they've subcontracted the work to pit emptiers. So the municipality itself is not doing that, but there's about 30 or 40 teams right now of pit emptiers that are sort of, franchisees or franchises of the pit emptying business. And they're supported by the municipality, and then they're the ones who go around and empty the pits. Because there are tens of thousands, I think maybe 60 to 80,000 VIPs just in that municipality alone. So if you can think about the number of teams that have to go around and the number of pits they have to empty per day, that's a lot of pits. So right now they're trying to catch up and make sure that they go on this GIS enabled system to figure out which areas have been emptied and which areas haven't. So I think that's how they're doing it right now. Yeah, so right now that's not happening. There are no fines.
No, I was asking in terms of if households actually have solid waste in their pits and they are fined.
But
how willing are they to pay?
That came out as a way of incentivizing or disincentivizing putting all kinds of material in the pits. I think right now the incentive is the volume reduction. So if you're putting trash into the pits that's not fecal material, then you are decreasing the volume and the possibility that your pit will be full before 5 years. So right now it's just the impact on the volume of the pits.
All right, thank you, Francis. So any other questions before we round up for today? Yeah, so thank you. I will give the floor to Arno to do a wrap-up.
Okay. I found the 3 sessions really fascinating. In fact, if we put ourselves maybe just 30 or 40 years from now, you will see that a lot of these things will become much more household. After we've decommissioned nuclear reactors, after oil costs $200 a barrel, and you'll see that solid waste and feces and urine will be worth their weight in gold, not just for nutrients and for their carbon content, but also the services provided by what you do with those things, like heating and cooling and making cities work. So it's really just a matter of giving these things much more greater value, and I think that's what these projects are all about. So I thank you all for coming today. We did peak about 45 people in the room. We've dropped down now to about 33. The chat has been very, very active today. I think the idea of having 3 chat windows was great. So we will be extracting a lot of these questions and putting them to the authors through the SuSanA forum. So you'll be very welcome to follow up in the next few days as we go forward here. We met the 3 speakers in Delhi, and we will be continuing with some of the others that were at the reinvent the toilet fair there. And as we go forward during the next few months, there'll be other people that will have a chance to give papers and get them discussed. So without any further delay, I would just like to say thank you and goodbye, and we'll see you again on the net.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.